Hello everyone, my name is Dan. We're recording this on Sunday. There's nothing else really to do than to talk about Kirby. And I don't know why I'm doing the DDD accent from Kirby's Coming Back at You, but I thought it was a fun reference to do anyway. Joining me today is Tim Chatton. I don't know if I think I'm saying the last name wrong. I'm very sorry.
That is right. That is right.
Yes, I win.
The first time, this is our second take. The first time you said it wrong, but that time was dead on right.
I always feel I'm saying it wrong. That's the problem with me. You host the Nintendo Club podcast?
I do. It's a live show we do every Sunday night for about 2.5 hours, 2 different episodes every week. So, I've got a Japan system. I've been playing a heck of a lot of Kirby this weekend, so I'm really excited to talk about it. So my co-hosts tonight don't get tired of me talking about Kirby too much.
So this is your first Kirby game, correct?
It is. I've played Kirby and Smash Brothers, but that's about it. And I've dabbled in like Virtual Console for like 5 minutes and then stopped in all the games before. So it's my first full Kirby game, start to finish, and it's fantastic. Yeah.
So let's go into that. First, I have to say what my history of Kirby is. I played most of the Kirby games. I like them they're simple, but I like them. They're simply because it's simple and fun to enjoy. It's more of a relaxing game that I play late at night. Like with Kirby's Epic Yarn, for example, when I was done editing stuff or had to wait till something was completed, I just played late at night with no end, and then saw an hour later. It's like, oh, it's done, great, and then I turn it on the next day. The gaming series has always been more like a relaxing thing for me than like a serious competitor. But for me, that also kind of changed with like this game, Kirby Triple Deluxe, which we're gonna talk about. And I must say, I'm really impressed with it. I was like actually surprised with how impressed I was about the game, because I knew I was gonna like it, but I didn't think I was gonna like it this much.
It's a common theme with the 3DS. Like, there's these games that come out that we kind of give a pass to when we hear about them, and they come out, and it's like, wow, this is really solid. And this game, what impressed me the most is just the vast amount of content. Like, not many in the length of the story mode, but you got more stuff than the story mode. We have the 2 announced things. We have some stuff that you'll get after the game as well. And it's just packed full of content that people are going to be really excited about accessing all of this stuff here.
We should talk about that. So the first is the story, which we are not going to spoil too much of. It's not very extremely lengthy, but it's still.
Do you
pretty...
want to say how many worlds there are, or is that too much as far as spoiling?
I mean, the world map already shows it in the beginning. I mean, they're blacked out, but you can pretty clearly see there are 6 worlds.
Yeah. And each of there's the levels themselves. I love that in Kirby games, or at least this one, there's no time limit. So you just kind of like explore and take your own good time with it, and just have fun in that experience. You're not rushing to the end or anything like that. And there's multiple paths in each level, so you can go back and explore them multiple times. It's really well designed that way.
Yeah, because I want to take a comparison with Super Mario 3D Land, which is a comparison like other people on the internet has already made. But the big comparison here is the levels in 3D World on Wii U is pretty short. They are pretty short levels. They're pretty crash courses from one way through another. And that isn't directly the opposite side with Kirby's Triple Deluxe's levels, where they're more like there's more to explore. And like the collectibles that you get, like the key rings, and
I just said the key rings. That was so cool. It's like when I saw that, it's like that would make a really cool platinum reward, having like 400 key rings sent to you at some point. That'd be amazing.
Yeah, and those other the jewels and the key rings are spread all across these levels, and finding these is a bit tricky, and extra makes it more rewarding if you go out of your way to search for them.
Now, the key rings, have you discovered, is it completely randomized and you just get one and it's random, or are there level-specific ones?
They are random.
Okay, because I know you can use play coins to get some for free, pretty much.
I did. I got a few of the silver ones through that manner. For if you want to have like the special ones, like the bigger ones, like I got the tree uh, that you always fight in every single Kirby game, which was a very big one, like a very big keyring, golden keyring, if you will. I got that through completing a level and really going out of my way to find it. So there's definitely for certain rewards for finding them in the levels instead of just using play coins.
Yeah.
And
No, yeah,
yeah,
I would love a an eShop way of having stuff physically sent to you as far as this kind of stuff. You know, besides Nintendo rewards, but just seems like a cool possibility with this stuff in the future.
I mean, and what I like about these key rings is that they make like references to all these different Kirby games. It's like, oh, this is an enemy from the first Kirby game on Game Boy, or this is like a diorama of one of the boss battles you fought early on in Kirby's Little Life. It's like very impressive little stuff, which
Now, one of those references we saw early on in the game itself and in even the trailers and stuff is that when you're in the hyper suck mode where you're sucking up this huge old 8-bit Kirby thing, Kirby screen.
mhm.
My initial thought was maybe I'll be able to jump in that screen and play that little level. Sadly, that was not the case. It was just kind of a cool little Easter egg, I guess.
We should talk about the sucking power because that's one of the new power-ups in this game, like one of the major big appeals of this one.
I feel invincible when I have that. It's so cool. It's like, oh, the rest of the level, I'm just gonna go suck stuff up, and it'll be a lot of fun.
So yeah, with this power-up, you have to find like this special plant, and when you suck up this plant, you're able to suck anything up in your path. Like literally, when there's a whole bunch of enemies, one big sweep and they're all gone. And these,
And I love sucking up the train. You can actually suck up the train and throw it off its tracks, which is a lot of fun.
yes, one of the levels features these train type enemies, these Model D trains, and you just swallow them up in one big sweep. And sometimes you get also this treasure chest out of it, so there's actually a reason to do that. Um,
And they do use some really creative uses that I don't want to spoil for anybody, because later in the game, they get really wacky, really just... You know, Nintendo thought of this crazy thing that they did with the Hyper Suck, and they do a cool thing with it. So I don't want to spoil anything beyond that.
well, even in the first level when they introduce it, you actually directly fight a little boss at the end, where you have to swallow up cubes and then send them back to those moles, which was a very impressive little thing.
Yeah, and there's also a strategy thing where I didn't catch this at first, but with the chain balls that you swing, there's either where you can swing it down where it makes a bridge or it breaks the wood entirely. I didn't catch that until a good portion of the game and figured out, hey, you can actually break that if you want to get to the underneath part of that for some hidden secret or something.
Definitely, definitely. I think that together with like there's also like a few new power-ups which I kind of don't want to spoil. If you have looked at the official website, you can actually spot them, but I don't want to say about them too much because they're fun to explore on your own. And
There's also some power-ups I didn't find it all in the main game, but afterwards there's some cool like just one-off power-ups that like die out after 3 or 4 moves, and they're just like fun to use.
yeah.
Don't want to spoil what those are, but there's some cool stuff afterwards too.
Hmm. The thing with the power-ups is as simple as the sword Kirby, which has been around for a very long time. The various moves that you can do with the various buttons and various combinations up, down, and sidewards really mixes up and really changes up the way that you play certain elements in the levels. And there are some more tricks to that in Kirby Triple Deluxe. There are certain elements like you have to cut the grass to find secrets, and I love also how they incorporate like the fire and the ice and all the other things to combine these and make the puzzles in the game a slightly more interesting.
Now the bell one, when I saw it initially, I was really excited about it, but it seems such like a weak. You get to you really play a song to kill somebody with that thing. The
Yeah,
bells.
the bells are way too powerful.
You think they're too powerful?
I think you can just like like pummel like an enemy pretty much
Oh,
like
over
all
and
the way.
over again. I got what
Yeah,
you're saying. Yeah.
yeah. There's no limit to that. What I think then works together. I think that the story mode then together with all of these power-ups and the elements that you have in place really make it for a fun game. And again, with 3D World, the levels were short and these are extra long, so and exploring them is worth it. So it makes all together for a really nice little thing.
And I think exploring these levels with different power ups will make the games even that much more fun. It's like, let me try this level with this power up and see how that goes. Because it's a different experience with every power up you use.
Hmm. But one thing that needs to be said is there are 6 worlds, and per world there are like 6 stages. So the game is like a bitch on the shorter side of it. Uh,
Yeah. Do we want to say our story playtime, or is that too much of a spoiler saying how long it took us?
no, not really. Just go ahead.
Okay. Mine was about 8.5, maybe 10 hours to get through story mode.
Yeah, it is not too bad, especially when you still have to collect some of like the jewels.
Yeah, I
It,
did have to go back to unlock. I did have to go back to progress. I did not unlock all the jewels in the first run.
mhm. I didn't either, so I still need to get a couple of them. Um, but when you complete the game, there are 2 modes, and we're not going to talk about these today. I don't feel that spoiling these is much of a surprise when we spoil them. But at the same time, there are people who are very anal about that stuff, so I kind of don't want to
Mm-hmm.
do that. But the 2 modes you get afterwards are also super interesting and
They
super
are,
fun.
and I
Yeah,
think they add a lot of replay value to this game that you just. That's fantastic. They put them in there.
yeah. Especially like the second one with
Mm-hmm.
which again
It
we
kind of
what
serves a community, so to speak, that does a lot of this kind of stuff. We'll just say that much of it. Yeah.
yeah. Let's not go further than that. But
No. Yeah.
I
It's really cool mode. Yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
the total package still makes it a game worth having.
And
Uh,
Kirby Fighters and Kirby Drum, whatever drum dance thing you want to call it, those 2 modes, I feel those could be $5 eShop, just $5, $10 indie titles by themselves. Not indie, but releases by themselves, and you'd get a good value out of that.
Especially like Kirby Fighters. I love Kirby Fighters.
I just wish there was online. That's just my big frustration. There's no online, and no one in the United States near me has a Japan system we could play with, even with download play.
Does it support download play though? I think it does.
It
Yeah.
does. Well,
Yeah.
when you launch the game initially on the choose your titles, choose your game save file,
Mhm.
it has that download play icon there.
Mhm.
So my assumption is, yeah, it does, at least for Kirby Fighters.
Fair enough.
What
But
is?
hmm?
I guess, yeah. What's that 4-player thing down? What's the second? I don't read Japanese that well, so I got stuck on when I hit that 4-player mode.
Hmm. I'm not sure what it is. But I will check it out maybe sometime later.
Okay.
Um. But yeah, Kirby Fighters, I was like really in. For the rest, aside from the online not having there, I mean, Nintendo does usually forget to put it in online. So
No, Smash Brothers in the 3DS better have it, or there will be hell to pay.
apparently it will, but I'm not sure yet
Because
how.
this is basically like a different version of Smash Brothers that's just Kirby and a little bit different where
Well,
how people dying works and stuff.
well, it takes the very interaction and core of those power ups and puts them in a competitive setting, which actually you would think that it would make it super boring, but in fact it makes it super frantic.
Yeah, totally. Because some power ups have the long range stuff where they can just pommel at you from the distance. You need to get close to them, and that kind of mechanic. I also I love the fact that when people die in this mode, they just lay there dead on the floor. Like in Smash Brothers, they evaporate. In this one, you see all these dead Kirby's by the end of the match. It's almost comical in a weird kind of way.
And the stages are basically based on like different Kirby games. And there's also like the arena of King DDD of like the end of the one of the first games. And
Okay.
it's just amazing that they put this level of referential stuff in there. Just for this little small mode, it is actually just basically an extra, but it's like a full length extra. And I can see myself because I have a couple of Japanese systems here. I think I can see myself like just putting these systems open and having like a whole bunch of matches with friends.
Yeah,
So
totally. Now this kind of stuff inspires me to actually let me import some more Japanese systems. Because I also know this virtual console in Japan is download play. I don't even know how the heck that would work.
yeah, there's plenty of download play stuff in like the Japanese Virtual Console games, and some of that stuff has come to Europe and America, but not all of it. Like,
It's pretty cool. Like I
yeah,
really want more Japanese systems to do that with local people here.
yeah, I think that also most like Japanese exclusive games support download play for multiplayer, uh, which mostly encourage them to buy the game themselves. That's how usually sales happen in Japan. So
Hmm.
it's something that usually helps to push games over there, but I'm not sure how that works for Europe and America. I don't think it usually helps, but there you go.
No, we're
Uh,
an online focused people here in the United States.
yeah, definitely. So
What about the drum rhythm game?
the drum
Have
rhythm,
you met much time with that?
I played it, but I at first I had some like issues with it getting it all fully understand and how to comprehend how it all worked. But after like a little while, I got the groove of it, and it was actually like a pretty challenging little game.
It is, especially that third one, and especially I got golds on all three of them,
Hmm.
and the third one was such a challenge because to do a gold on the last one, you have to do basically perfect. We're not getting killed at all, and there's this mechanic I didn't know about initially. Is the after you jump, you can hit the button again to do a great or a good, I guess, as far as like a midair kind of move, and that earns you more points doing that.
Hmm. Hmm. I mean, the thing with Kirby, the thing with that mini game in Kirby's Triple Deluxe is that I mean, I like the three stages, but I just wish there were more. I mean, the most of these mini games, also in other Kirby games, usually have a couple of stages, and that's why I
Hmm.
was kind of surprised maybe with like Kirby Fighters with how big it was. But then I look at something like King DDD's drum mini game, and I was like, I would just wish there were more.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean this would be an awesome DLC thing if Nintendo wanted to do that, you know,
Hmm.
because I know music DLC is a huge thing, especially in Japan. There's all these music only games in the eShop. I'm curious if Nintendo would ever go down that route, but right now it seems like there's a easy, medium, and hard, and
Well,
that's
they
what you
went
get.
down that route with Daigasso Band Brothers P.
Yeah, I've not heard or played of that one yet.
Yeah, they went with that route where you have to like purchase tomatoes to download songs from the store. And that one tomato is pretty much a song download. So they went with that route, but it's a very experimental route more than like the usual DLC thing.
But I can't see me going back, even though I have gold medals to try to beat those scores. And this is one of those games that kind of makes me wish the 2DS was just one big screen, so I could just experience that with that huge screen. Because it's one of those games that spans across both screens, and it's one of those where oh, it'd be so cool if there wasn't that gap for the system.
Definitely. But I think when the game comes to its own, I think that if there were more stages like it, maybe it would overdo it a bit too. But it's just a mini game, and the rest of the modes are still like pretty lengthy and more interesting to fully be enjoyed and be fleshed out. So
Yeah, and each level is 2 minutes long. You have 2 minutes, otherwise you time out and die.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that it's pretty much the whole game. So you have the main mode, you have Kirby Fighters, you have the mini games, and you have the two no the mini game in fact, and you have the two additional modes. It feels like a bit like this package feels a bit like Kirby's Ultra Superstar, where there are like various games in one package.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a little like lesser options, but like the options that are there are pretty lengthy and pretty interesting. And I feel it's just the smaller stuff that could have been improved. Like Kirby Fighters could have had a line play. DDD's drum mini game could have had more levels, but overall it's still like a pretty solid package you got there.
Yeah, it definitely is. And as this being my first experience with the Kirby, this has been fantastic. I kind of want to go out and buy whatever the next good Kirby game is. I'm not sure. What's the recommendation if people, if you have a Japan system, you love this game, what's something similar that would give you more dose of this?
Have you ever played Kirby Superstar Ultra?
I
Maybe
have
on
not,
the
no.
maybe if you can find a copy on DS, I would definitely recommend that.
Okay, I'll check that out.
And Kirby's Epic Yarn, you can never go wrong with that. For that's a very different Kirby game. But
Yeah, so I
but
hear.
it's still like pretty charming and pretty interesting. If you like the music and stuff, you will like awe in the music of
Yeah,
Kirby's
the
Epic Yarn.
soundtrack to this is fantastic. You know, even the boss fights or just the general, I guess, level music. It's really well done.
Yeah, definitely.
And
Uh,
Club Nintendo Japan's getting the full soundtrack, of course.
yeah, if you want like a direct game like it, then also Kirby's Return to Dreamland is another recommendation, of course.
That's for Wii.
Yeah, that's for Wii.
Okay, cool.
Of course, it works for Wii mode, so it's no big
Yep.
issue. Um, but those are like the Kirby games to get then for you. But going quickly back through the game, we talked about the music, but let's also talk a little bit more about, because we haven't really discussed this, presentation.
Hmm.
Eh,
Well, one thing to note, I'm not sure if this falls under presentation, but this is one of the, I guess, few Nintendo games that gives you a percentage as to how far you are through the game.
hmm.
So mine's at 78%, so I evidently have 22% more to finish here.
I'm roughly, I think about 74.
Yeah.
So
But
yeah,
yeah, that's kind of cool that they give you some indication. Like, after I was done story mode, it's like, wow, I haven't even done half of what I need to do yet. This is really cool. Percentage wise, it makes you feel like there's a lot more in here.
mm-hmm. And what I kind of want to talk about for presentation is the game is so incredibly colorful. It's almost, I was like in awe directly with the first stage, because you're walking through these clouds and you see this rainbow passing by, and
Hmm.
that's all well and good. Then you jump on that warp star, and then Kirby smiles to the camera, and
And
you just feel like awe inside.
it's just a game full of happiness. Like, it's,
Yeah,
yeah.
but the colors and like the color palettes and everything surrounded really really helps. And what I'm
Yeah, and you see
also
the sun, coming out. Some of the, it's just the color is fantastic. It's the art style itself. It's initially I thought this game when I first saw the trailers, it's like, oh, this looks kind of bland. But once you actually get into it and play it, it's like, wow, this is really beautiful and well
yeah, that
done.
was kind of my worry initially with Kirby Triple Deluxe, because when I saw the first trailer, I was like, this looks okay. But when you actually play it, when you actually see it in motion happening on the screen before you, it actually looks really incredible. Especially when you turn up the 3D on.
Oh yes, and the foreground background play is huge in this game. It's a
Oh yeah,
2D platformer, but you're going back and forth between the planes quite a bit.
I mean, in the third level, the third level of the game, this is very evident, because at the start you don't have any enemies, but you're using Warp Star to go further and further out into the environment, and then you go
Hmm.
into in the final, then finally you take a door to take into the cave. That first bit makes makes you evidently clear how much background play there is.
And there's also the fun thing where sometimes you'll smash against the screen when you screw up, which is just it's so great.
Yeah, or an enemy comes from the far in the background, and you have to really judge yourself when you have to pass by or attack him.
Yeah.
It's like really impressive little stuff like that, and I think that not many games on the 3DS do that, where they usually use the foreground and background to really like push like the game system. I mean, um, talking for indie games wise, like Mutant Mods does that a lot.
Yeah, I saw the trailer of that and I bought it over Christmas break and it's fantastic. I bought it because of the foreground background stuff. It just looked so fun.
It is, and it works so well on the 3DS screen. And it's kind of the same situation here, but it's basically on drugs.
Pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much. While other 3DS games just use the 3D effect to immerse yourself a bit more, which is fine. I mean, hey,
Yeah.
I mean, like Kid Icarus Uprising does it fantastically. Um, and like Mario Kart 7 and all these other games. But this game actually
With
uses
Mario Kart 7, I can't turn 3D on with that game. I get because I move my system around too much when I play that kind of game.
yeah,
As far
yeah.
as moving your system, I actually enjoyed what they did with the gyroscope. It wasn't too over the top. Did you have problems with that at all with the gyroscope
No, no,
controls?
no, nothing at all because they what they did was really, really, really subtle. They used like very small puzzles to incorporate the gyroscope stuff,
Yep.
but those puzzles were not overly complicated, so you very quickly was aware what was going on, and it made them also very simple and easy to comprehend, and just very easy and fun to play.
Yeah, I totally agree. It was really well done with that. What else? What other system features did this use? No Street Pass to my knowledge with this.
I don't necessarily that it needs that. Maybe, but
Except imagine a Kirby Fighter me thing where you pass someone and you can play their past data. I don't know, some cool way to do that would be
oh yeah,
interesting.
definitely, definitely. I think that there's
Or drum. You do the drum thing where it's like in Super Mario 3D World where you can see. I don't know if that maybe confuse someone, but yeah, have
maybe
some.
like how quickly they complete the level in the main story mode,
Yeah,
or how much points they scored or whatever, and maybe compare it through that. It would have been a neat feature, but
yeah. There's some yeah. And does Nintendo ever change stuff for USA release as far as features, or is it just a translation in pretty much 99% of the cases?
well, yeah, most of the cases it's pretty much the same. For once in a while they change it up. Like for the Animal Crossing one, they include like Spot Pass for the Happy House feature,
Gotcha. Yep.
and that was only in the Western for Europe and America release.
Yeah. Now something as far as the boss fights and stuff, something I was having a problem with at some points was I'd lose my power up, and Kirby's kick it seems to be doesn't do anything with bosses. So you have to basically be throwing these stars at them. So it feels like once you lose your power up, you're just kind of at a loss for winning that boss fight, especially the second half of this game.
Yeah, that's pretty much the strategy. You have to keep your powers in check and pretty much try to survive. And um, for people say that sometimes Kirby games can be challenging, these bosses here are pretty interesting.
Yeah, they just do some creative things with the boss as far as who they are and how they interact with the screen and everything.
Yeah, definitely. Um, I feel that don't have anything else really to talk about. I mean, there are cutscenes. There are not many of them, um, but they pretty much also make use of the 3D. They're there.
Yep. And yeah, as far as cutscenes, the only dialogue is really at basically the end of this. So I didn't understand the end dialogue, but the opening cutscene, no dialogue really. You're just kind of thrown into this world. And do you want to talk about the opening cutscene and getting into the story at all? As
Sure,
far as
sure.
just yeah,
Yeah,
we won't go past beyond the initial "you're in trouble" kind of story, but towards the end. But yeah, you're basically in this vine world, right?
yeah. Well, we should have mentioned that at the beginning, but you are pretty much in this vine world where all the worlds are connected by vines, and when you like defeat the final boss, you would go to the next part of the vine.
Yep.
Yeah.
And who is this villain? Have we seen this villain in the Kirby series before or no?
No, this is a new villain.
Okay. Because traditionally King Dede is Kirby's villain, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
For the last couple of games, he wasn't.
Okay.
Like in Kirby's Epic Yarn, you had the Yarn Wizard. You had another like entity in Kirby's Return to Dreamland. So yeah, the last few Kirby games seem to mix it up and makes it more like, oh, King Dedede and Kirby are kind of friends now.
Yeah, it's like they made up and they're good buddies now. I'm not sure. There should be a mini game where that happens in one of the. I don't know. It'd be fun.
But yeah,
So
they
it'd
that
be like Bowser and Mario being friends and teaming up one day. That'd be. I don't know.
well they did in Mario and Luigi,
Oh, that's right.
Bowser's Inside Story.
That's right. Yeah.
It feels like such a long time ago again. Jesus. But there you go.
Yeah.
Uh,
So yeah, this game's fantastic. It's a lot of content. I've already put like 14 hours into this game, and it came out on, I guess, Friday or Saturday, depending on how you look on it.
Well, Friday when we live in the West, Saturday when
Yes.
you live in Japan.
Yep.
And I'm pretty much also like at 15 hours, and I'm still having like much enjoyment out of it. Um, I mean, I will still say that the main story is a bit too short for my liking, even though I put like a lot of time into it and it was pretty lengthy for what it is.
Yeah,
But
I could definitely use another world of levels. That would have
uh,
been nice.
yeah, I mean, I would like another pack of levels after you completed the game, but maybe they're still there. We don't know. We haven't like collected all of these
No,
gems,
once
so
there could be. I
yeah,
mean, we're not. Yeah, there could totally be like in the Mario games. Once you find everything, you unlocked another world, and who
yeah,
knows?
it could be another Crown World. We don't know.
And I gotta say, I'm so happy the eShop in Japan accepts United States credit cards. It's a wonderful thing.
It also
So
accepts European ones, so it's like perfect.
yes,
Yeah,
it's so great. So
you have to thank Mastercard and Visa.
yes, so if you need a reason to import a Japan 3DS, this is one of them because it's so aggravating that there's no even release season for this game in the other regions. So kind of aggravating with that.
Hey, it would be at least better than than Yoshi's New Island.
Yeah. So yeah, do you see this coming out in spring or fall? And what season do you think this is gonna hit?
I mean, this doesn't require that many of a translation. I hope it is in spring. I mean, would be like a perfect April-May game.
Yeah.
I mean, it bridges the gap to the summer, but at the same time, it feels like a perfect game that is made to enjoy like in the spring or in start summer. So I don't know. I think it would be because you can play the small bursts and then be done with it and then play a level later again, or we play a level to do it better. So I
Yeah.
think it would be perfect for that period of time.
I thought this was a big not missed opportunity to be released, now everywhere because all these kids just got their 3DSs and 2DSs here. Make them want to just stay tied to those forever, by having this out.
Oh, I think it definitely is a missed opportunity, but that's Nintendo
That's
for
Nintendo's
you.
choice. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, America's getting Layton and Bravely Default in February. Of course, I played those because those came out in Europe in November and December. Um, but hey, there still are plenty of games coming out for both regions. So maybe they're just
Oh,
thinking
for sure, for
of
sure. We just got Chibi Robo. I mean, that's enough to hold people over, right?
oh, definitely. But maybe
Yeah, for sure.
it's just for the reason that they want to plan this and promote it better in a better time frame, which is totally
Yeah,
unacceptable
marketing to life
excuse.
for sure.
Yeah, I mean for Japan, like releasing it in January just before like a 3-day weekend, because that's they have like a 3-day weekend now, which is like perfect.
Oh, cool, cool.
So I think they released it at the exact right time for Japan.
Yeah,
If that was the
for sure.
exact time frame for Europe and America, I don't think so. I mean, early January, it doesn't really generate much game sales. But at the same time, if you are the only one, you might also get some good amount of sales out of it. But I don't have
Mm-hmm.
enough knowledge of that to know if that would actually be a viable strategy.
Yeah, my thought is this is always the slow time of year, and we're lucky to get anything in January.
Well, last year we got the games that America got on the Wii U launch, which were Ninja Gaiden 3 and Sync Party. I mean, Ninja Gaiden 3 was actually kind of good, but
Yeah, it's
I
in
don't
my
think.
collection. Just I haven't opened it yet,
Yeah,
so I
but I don't.
gotta
But I
pop that
don't
in.
think anybody bought it in January.
No, no.
No. So
So,
there you go.
anyways,
After this small ramble about game releases and why they're released in specific regions anyway, we're gonna end this here. I want to thank my guest, Mr. Tim Chatton.
thank you. It's been fun doing this. I love talking about games I can't talk with other people here. It's great.
It feels fantastic. It's wonderful. And I want to wish you all a good day, a good night, good morning. I don't know when you listen to this. Doesn't really matter to me. It makes you happy that you listen to this because I think this podcast will be roughly around 35, and if I thought it said it would be a short one. So hey, good on us. We
What,
made
what
it.
is short in podcasting world, really?
I don't know anymore. I just make things up as I go along. But there you go. Thanks for listening, everybody.